Good morning. Happy Thursday. Good morning. Welcome. Go ahead and begin to settle into a comfortable seated position. And whatever cross you naturally want to take with the legs, let's start with the opposite cross today. And yes, we're going to get right into hips first thing in the morning for some of us, depending on where you're at in the world or when you're watching. So just taking our time to warm up, open up a little bit before we get too deep. So as you come to seated, go ahead and bring your palms down or up to your legs. You've taken that opposite to your natural cross. Maybe you've removed some of the flesh out from under your sit bones, coming to a little deeper grounding. And as we settle into the breath, go ahead and close your eyes. I'm just going to offer a good morning mantra. Be intentional with your day. Be present. You are in control of your plate. So take things one step at a time. Breathing that in and out. A couple times in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth, and now in and out through the nose. Activating that nice, slow Ujjayi breath. Drawing your oxygen all the way down into your belly, up into the chest, and slowly releasing. Beautiful. Go ahead and take your hands to your knees, curving the spine back, drawing that belly button in, tucking your chin. And forward, chest comes forward, crown up. And just a few times back and forward. It's like a seated cat-cow. And back and forward. A couple more times. And now beginning to make some circles in the spine. And taking the opposite direction. And making your way back to neutral spine. Let's go ahead and begin to walk out forward. Up on the fingertips, leading with the chest. Taking a few breaths here into the back body, maybe pressing into the fingertips to keep those hips rooted on the mat. Maybe you can come down onto your elbows. Continuing to lead with that chest, pressing that chest forward towards the ground. Inhale, coming up, switching the cross of the legs, and beginning to walk forward, other side. On your next inhale, beginning to press up. Go ahead and uncross the legs, stretching them out long for just a second, maybe bouncing the knees. Yeah, let's go ahead and take wide leg before we do our twists. Just taking a nice wide straddle, just as wide as you can, where you can still keep your knees pretty straight. It's okay to have a micro bend, but here, since we have the ground beneath us and there's not a lot of chance for hyperextension, work towards getting those straight legs, even if you have to come in a little bit. Flexing the feet and just beginning to walk forward, again, leading with that chest. Giving yourself some time to kind of open up this morning. I like to inhale up a little bit and then exhale, deepen. Just kind of working it open with movement. You might find, if you've had a regular practice, that you start to open up a little quicker. On your next inhale, pressing back up, right hand comes to the mat, left arm up, long spine, and over. Stretching that left hand towards that right foot. You might even use your arm on the inside of that thigh to help open up the chest a little bit more, really making it a lateral bend so we're not hunching into our spine. We're opening up across the chest, side bend. Inhale up through center, left hand to the mat, coming through center for that nice straight spine before taking that side bend. Just really breathing into that rib cage there. Nice, slow, deep breaths in and out through the nose. Opening all through that right side body, reaching out through the fingertips. Inhale up through center, grabbing behind the thighs, drawing the knees up part way, so we're still keeping them nice and wide, taking your hands as a kickstand behind your back and dropping both knees one direction with a little press towards the mat. Eventually one day they might both come all the way to the mat. It's not today for me and it might not be today for you. Wherever you're at, we're just working into those hip joints. You probably feel it inside there, around the back of the thigh, into the glutes. And coming back to center, go ahead and take that left foot across, The foot comes to the right side. Right foot over, sole of the foot on the mat. We're going to come first into a twist. And if your right hip doesn't come back to the mat, then go ahead and just keep the bottom leg straight. So you want both hips on the mat. So only take this back if you can still have both hips on the mat. And then choose whether you're going to hug or hook for your twist. Right arm comes behind to support the spine, nice and long. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, deepen into the twist. On your next exhale, releasing back to center, uncrossing the feet and switching. So either right foot comes across now or right foot stays out straight if your hips need some more time to open up. Left leg does come across, sole of the foot on the mat, choosing your hug or hook. Left hand comes behind, supporting the spine first, lengthen, and then twisting. And exhale, release to center. Let's see, are we ready to get into the nitty-gritty? So if we're still waking up today, like my hamstrings feel real nice and tight, so we'll see how well this goes. But let's go ahead and just take a forward fold first, and then we'll set up for the hips. So flexing those feet, legs out long in front of you, pressing those thighs down towards the mat, beginning to walk your hands down your legs, breathing into the backs of the legs, drawing that chest forward first. So we're not hunching in the back, as straight as you can, leading with the chest, shoulders down away from the ears. And inhale up. Here we go, into the hips. So if you're going to take the cross-legged version and not the stack-legged version, you can see that my knee, like my shin, is out away from my body. So we're not going to squish the shins back too far. We're going to keep them out. We're still going to keep them parallel to the front of the mat. And then if it's available to you, working towards getting those feet in alignment with the knees. So we're just not stacking the shins, but they're still kind of parallel to the front of our body. And from there, remember, gaze down, remember which one you have in front, because we will be switching. And beginning to fold forward, leading with the chest. Flexing both feet, protecting those knee joints. You really want to feel this anywhere along in the hips, maybe even into your hamstrings. We don't want to feel any tugging on the knee joints. If you do, please come out and readjust. Other option is to stack that top leg on top. you find opening, always feel free to walk your hands forward a little bit more, but we're going to go ahead and switch it up, walking back up, switching the cross, other leg in front now. Again, setting up with those nice flexed feet, shins as parallel to the body as possible, so just a little more forward than the normal cross leg. And walking out, leading with the chest, breathing into the hip, or taking that stack. On an inhale, pressing up to seated. Go ahead and release that leg, making your way onto your hands and knees. Let's go ahead and just take big toes together, knees nice and wide, and press back for a few moments in child's pose, really letting that belly and chest sink down, forehead comes to the mat. Inhale forward, back onto the hands and knees, bringing those knees in, stacking them under your hips, wrists under shoulders, finding that nice neutral spine, and dropping that belly, tailbone and crown up. Exhale back into cat. At the pace of your own breath, inhale forward and exhale back. And as you're ready, making your way back to neutral spine, we're going to go ahead and take that pose that I'm not a fan of, but is just oh so good for the hip joints. Beginning to walk those knees out. Your ankles will come to the mat, toes pointing outwards, and you can have them, the shins diagonal in or in alignment with the knees, but don't have the shins angling out past the knees. And just continuing to slide open, allowing gravity here to do the work, keeping the hips in alignment with the knees. Maybe you can drop down onto your elbows. Just working into the inner thighs here. All the little connective tissues in the hip joints. A place that in daily life just so often gets ignored or just doesn't get used. A space that really can often have a lot to do with lower back pain. Getting too tight in here from sitting and walking and not stretching. And go ahead and begin to press back up onto those hands. If you brought your shins out to parallel, I like to bring the feet in first. It gives me something to press up onto to release those knees back towards center. And I'm going to go ahead and take the time to do this because I feel like it's a space that I so often neglect in class as well. And it's just it's a huge muscle group and in fact the largest muscle group. And so often don't get into as well. So find yourself a small amount of wall space. You really don't need that much. A shirt or a blanket or even your mat folded a couple times will totally suffice for a little bit of knee support. I have a carpet here, but if you're on a hardwood floor, probably definitely going to want a couple folds in the mat. That fold is going to come to the wall. And then you're going to kneel in front of that fold. One knee, for me, my right knee, comes back onto the fold or blanket and onto the wall. So my shin is up against the wall. Foot up, top of the foot pointing up. From there, you're going to take that front foot out forward. 90-degree angle, your shins against the wall, and you might be right here. Double check if you can that foot's tracking right up behind you. You should feel it probably right behind your bum, or you might lunge out a little bit more. So maybe you've already got a really deep stretch here, all down the front of that thigh, maybe even into that hip flexor here. If it's not twinging the knee, if it's just kind of stretching close to the front of it and it's not too intense, that's okay. Option 2, come up further. Pressing into that front foot. We're going to take a minute here. So the quad is the biggest muscle in the body. And again, one of those places that we often don't get into stretching. Not really, not on this level anyway. And this can also have a huge impact on any lower back pain. And beginning to release, bringing that bottom foot back to the mat so that you can release that knee down. I don't know if I said sides, that was my right side, but switch sides, other knee goes back against the wall, shin against the wall, top of the foot against the wall, tracking right behind you. Other foot comes forward. Once you get it forward, go ahead and shift those hips back to parallel. You might need a few breaths here. Maybe you take all your breaths here. You begin to press up. Keep connecting with that breath here. Make sure you're not holding on to your breath. Make sure you're not tensing up in the jaw, around the face. And beginning to release the hands back to the mat, bringing that bottom knee back to be able to come forward onto your hands and knees. Go ahead and just take a moment in child's pose, and then we're going to move our mats back. All right, coming forward, readjusting your mat however is good for you, whether it's just away from the wall for the rest of class or however that looks for you. All right, coming back onto our hands and knees. Tucking those toes under, pressing the hips up and back, down dog. Rolling those armpits in, peeking back at those heels. If you can see your heels, please swivel them out. Just out of view. Your fingers are spread nice and wide, space between each finger. All 4 corners of the palm, all 10 fingertips are pressing into the mat. Hips up and back. Inhale, bending into the knees. Exhale, floating or walking your feet to your hands. And just releasing here and forward fold. Nice strong core, tucking that tailbone, tucking that belly button flat back all the way up. Reaching, reaching, reaching. Exhale, hands to heart. Continuing to get into all those little spaces that we don't normally get to. I'm going to come to the side of the mat and face you. Go where you're comfortable. We're going to cross our legs. And cross them so that the soles of both feet can come back to the mat. So my left foot is in front and it's also slightly more in front. If I work to get it towards parallel, it kind of pushes everything out in alignment. So soles of the feet on the mat, crossed, pulling those hips into midpoint, midline. And then we're gonna take our hands to the hips and begin to fold. And this will be a nice stretch in the IT band, on the whole outside edge of that leg. It'll be more intense wherever you happen to be tight. You can bring your hands to your legs if you haven't. And inhale up, switching the cross. Hugging those hips to midline, tucking that belly button up and in. Just starting with the hands on the hips as you go forward, then releasing the hands to the legs. Hands back to the hips. Inhale, flat back, all the way up. Go ahead, uncross the legs, coming back to the front of the mat. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, place hands, step back, high plank. Inhale here. Exhale, chaturanga, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, baby cobra or up dog. Exhale, back, down dog. Inhale that right leg up. Exhale, step through, placing the shin on the mat. Back knee, top of foot, comes down. Moving our way towards pigeon. If you're really open in the hips, you might bring that shin all the way to parallel, flexing the foot. If it's back further, if your shin's back further, because you have a little bit tighter hips, as I do, no need to flex the foot there, only as you're bringing that shin towards parallel, like that. Beginning to walk down onto your elbows. Oh, before you do that, maybe take a peek back. Just double check that your leg's tracking straight behind you. If we were in perfect balance, we wouldn't need to, but oftentimes our body will give us inaccurate cues of alignment. And so the visual cue will just help bring us into alignment, because it's often what actually feels awkward. And just breathing here in and out through the nose, with your belly relaxed. Your forehead and jaw, eyes are all relaxed. On your next inhale, beginning to press up, tucking those back toes under. Go ahead and press up, releasing that right leg. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, coming through and placing. Taking that peek back. Is that back leg tracking right behind you? If it is, maybe you do come down onto your elbows, maybe you don't. Maybe you come down all the way onto your forehead and your belly is like resting against your shin. Please take this pose as far as is good for your body. You want to be getting something out of it. Hopefully it's a nice release in the back of the hip. On your next inhale, beginning to press back up onto the hands, tucking that back toe under, pressing the hips up and back to release, down dog. Just a breath or two here, and full down dog, armpits rolled under. Pressing those heels towards the mat, hips up and back. And coming down onto the knees, making your way onto your back. Go ahead and draw those knees in towards the chest. Rocking from side to side. Taking your pointer and middle finger, hooking those big toes. Yogi toe hold, drawing those knees in towards the armpits, shins go up towards the sky, pressing through the feet. As you press through the feet, press those hips towards the mat. So you'll feel a nice spreading across the spine. Whole back should come to the mat, drawing those shoulders towards the mat, as if you could spread your whole back out across the mat. This will be a nice release in the lower spine, continuing to draw those knees in towards your armpits. And release. Left foot over right, both knees dropping over to the right, gazing out over that left shoulder, supine twist. Inhale through center, switching the cross. Both legs now over to the left, gazing out over that right shoulder. Inhale back to center, undoing the cross. And for Shavasana today, instead of bringing the legs out long, we're going to bring the soles of the feet together, allowing the knees to fall open to the sides. If you do have blocks and you want them, I kind of like the gravity pulling down, kind of getting a little bit more opening for me. But if you have blocks or pillows and you want to just place them just right where they make contact, so it doesn't feel like your legs are floating in space, feel free to do that. Supta Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose with your arms open to the sides. Beginning to release and relax here. Releasing any control over the breath. Just allowing that to return to its natural rhythm. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and invite another mantra. And that is, I am grateful for all I have and all that I am. I accept abundance and blessing that may come my way. I remove any blockages that may be hindering my spiritual, mental, and financial growth. I am grateful. And just see if you can connect with that feeling of gratefulness. So starting with the thought of what it means to be grateful, and beginning to feel the warmth in your heart and belly as your gratitude grows. You start to think of some of the things that you're grateful for. And as you see those things and feel your gratitude, more things come to your mind. And as more things come to your mind, your feeling of gratitude grows because you begin to realize just how blessed you are. Even for the little things as simple as the gift of breath, the gift of life, of love. Beginning to awaken from this Shavasana, this bound ankle pose, bringing this gratitude into your present moment, into the room. And as you move about your day, bringing that gratefulness into your life, go ahead and remove any blocks or blankets or props, holding behind your thighs, drawing your knees together till the soles of your feet come to the mat. From here, please begin to make your way onto your side, your fetal position. From fetal, beginning to press up all the way back in to seated position. As you make your way to seated or Sukhasana, let's just take one more moment with our eyes closed, nice straight spine, relaxed in the belly, just to call to mind one more thing we are grateful for. With that warm feeling of gratitude washing over our bodies, I say thank you to you for coming to class, to showing up for yourself, for me. Namaste.